Welcome back to For the Love of Men. My name is Brianna Mosier, and I am co-hosting with my very good friend, Courtney Shand. The intention of this show is to bring together men and women in harmony and help them honor each other's masculine and feminine energetic cores to create healthy, thriving, polarized relationships. We have a great episode for you guys this week. And before we jump in, Courtney, my beautiful friend, tell the people your magic in the world and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I am a relationship coach. I really specialize in helping break generational relational patterns that keep women from fully owning and expressing themselves in relational dynamics that are healthy and thriving. So I love that element of things as it pertains to dating and relationships and partnering. That's it. That's what I do in the world. That is my gift.
Yeah. So great.
And you, I'll share more later, but tell them about you, my friend.
What do? I work with mostly female entrepreneurs to help them start and scale businesses and attract healthy, empowered masculine partners. So I work with these women a lot on embracing their feminine while they're being boss ladies, so they can be in their pleasure, their magic, their boss lady mode, and have healthy polarized relationships and come home to their partner and be in their juicy feminine energy. So that is what I do in the world, alongside of obviously helping them scale their business, help more people and make more money. But it's a lot of fun.
Good.
Thank you.
So good at that. Yeah.
I'm stoked because we are going to go over some of the things that men grow into and show us and display that really attract and impress us. And this is beyond just basic EM level. Like those of you who have listened to episode 4 on discerning healthy versus wounded masculine, this is like the next step. This is when you've been getting to know a man, you're creating intimacy, or a masculine partner, you're creating intimacy, and he's starting to reveal some of these qualities and characteristics that are gold, that we love, that we appreciate, that we go, this is waving a really big green flag for partnership, relationship material. We had a lot of fun coming up with these things. So, Courtney, where would you like to jump in about this quality or characteristic that you just love seeing in potential partners?
Ooh, it's so good. And I actually, before we get into it, I also want to say that what these provide for us is space for our own healing to happen. Like when these are showing up, these are the times when I have experienced the most impactful, like, redirection of my own relational patterns and kind of hiccups. So that being said, I want to start with, just holding some space. I think that is characteristic of EMs, and we've talked about that before, but this particularly is powerful because when the relationship starts to, like, when the stakes are a little higher, you're not just dating, you're not on, date 2, 3, 4, when the stakes are higher and you start really having to, kind of come together and meet each other for, hey, this is actually a boundary for me, to have that seen and acknowledged in the form of just seeing that boundary and holding the space for it to be there is so powerful in unwiring my nervous system to feel safe again. So when there's room for me to speak and room for me to express myself, where it doesn't feel like it's kind of being stifled or that I would be stepping on you if I were to be fully myself, that availability is huge when it comes to continuing to attract a partner into deeper intimacy. Anything you want to add to that?
Holding space is so attractive. I think, just to further clarify it, the best way I've heard it described is by understanding dismissive listening and empathetic listening. And so dismissive listening is when we say things, and by the way, they're usually well-meaning, like you're trying to connect, you're trying to relate, you're trying to meet this person in their vulnerability, but it can come off dismissive. So it's like when you jump in and try to solve the problem and you say, like, well, have you read this book? Have you read this podcast? Have you tried this? Have you done that? It's like you try to fix And we love you men for being problem solvers. But a lot of times women just want to be heard and listened to. So jumping in to fix could feel kind of dismissive, right? Another thing that comes up is, oh, if you think that's bad, listen to what happened to me. I'll tell you about my stuff. If you think that's bad, this is really bad. That can come off as dismissive. Empathetic listening is more like, tell me more. I can imagine that must have been really painful. What's been coming up for you? How are you feeling about that? Um, and there's no fixing, there's no saving energy. It's just holding space, listening, hearing this person, validating their emotions, seeing them. Yeah, it's more open. So that discernment really helped me, even just as a woman, as a friend in female friendships. And I'm not perfect at it, um, but with my partner too, like, or the person I'm seeing now, it's helpful to know empathetic versus dismissive.
I'm so glad that you clarified that, because I catch myself, the more work that I get into with this, the more I catch how often and how slippery it is. Like you can just habitually do it until you can become aware that that is the pattern, which it also kind of ties into one of our other ones of kind of owning the areas where we are not where we want to be, and also getting the support that we need in order to create that growth that we would like to grow into, to be the person we want to be or hope most to become, to take ownership and accountability for that. And that's a great way to do it, of like, wow, I need to work on my listening, or I need to, get some help around processing my emotions, and reaching out to either professionals or a coach or a mentor to facilitate that, so that we're not, as you said, so that we're not the therapist, we're not the ones that are your only sounding board.
Yeah. Yeah. So an attractive quality that impresses you is them getting support and being accountable. Is that what you mean?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. If they have this kind of goal for themselves or a vision for themselves, like taking action towards the goal can look like hiring a mentor. It can look like hiring a coach. It can look like going to therapy. It can look like working through some of the things that have been limiting thus far. Those are major green flags, at least for me, in developing a deeper connection.
I totally agree. And I think this creates space for a healthier connection, because for me, it's a relief of pressure if he's getting support outside of things. Like I'm a big believer in friend groups or men's groups or women's groups, or what group therapy. It doesn't even have to be about men and women, but for him to have support outside to go process his stuff and be unfiltered, even if it's something I'm doing that's bothering him, work through those things, filter it out, just like I would with my support, and then come together in clean energy. So especially like Court and I are both coaches. So I know for me, if I'm not careful and mindful, I could easily go into the role of like coach therapist in a connection. And I don't want to. And at least not often unless it's asked for, right? And B, I don't know that the receiving person enjoys that all the time. They want a partner, not a therapist coach. So therapy, coaching, mentorship, personal growth, when he's invested in that, yeah, it's a huge green flag.
And just to add on that, it's more for me, even if it is something that they want, it's more to keep the relationship clean, because you can overhelp your partner. I think there's times where you start to step in, and then you start taking accountability for things that aren't your responsibility. It kind of it's this weird kind of it depolarizes things really quickly, in my experience. And it is easy, especially for women who are in the helping industry or are some, counselors, therapists, coaches. It's very easy in my friend group. We've all struggled with the tendency to step into that role just by nature.
Yeah.
We don't actually we feel very needed and helpful, but it's a different feeling than like sexy, desirable woman. It's, does that make sense? It's like, I'm living in my purpose and this feels great and I'm seen, but it isn't creating tension between the two of us.
Yeah, completely agreed. And not to be confused with the next thing we really love about men, we'll just segue into this, is when you open up and share how you're feeling and your vulnerabilities and what's coming up for you. So, men listening, I don't want you to confuse this with we don't want to know those things or we're unwilling to help, because that's
Right.
not it at all.
No.
In fact, that vulnerability, and when you do share about how you feel, I, it's so great. I can't even tell you how great it is. We want to be there with you emotionally. It's like the heavens open up a little bit in my mind when the person I'm dating starts talking about these feelings and things coming up for him, and I'm just like, finally I can see you, I can get to know you more, there's more intimacy, there's more depth, there's more connection. Oh my gosh, yes, keep going. And to clarify, for me, that's seeing men in their power.
Yeah.
I feel like men, from my perception, has been that they grow up with this notion that talking about their feelings or having feelings makes them weak. And that is not how it is received, at least from me. And Courtney's shaking her head. So at least from me and Courtney as women. In fact, here's how I think about it. It's actually really easy to avoid emotions. The easy thing to do is to shut down to them and swallow them and pretend they're not there. The hard thing to do is to open up and feel them. The hard thing to do is communicate them. The strong thing to do is feel it and communicate it and go there with your partner. That's a strong man. That's a powerful man. That's a man that I would trust my heart with. So when he opens up in that way, I feel even safer, even more held, even more trusting of him, even more intimacy. I mean, it's so gold. So I could bask in that forever. So good.
Oh, I love that. And I
Yeah.
love that you said that, because it is, as you were saying it, I was thinking it's different to be side by side, to be like two humans standing in our experience. And so I'm so glad you clarified that, because to be a coach means that somehow I'm like, holding the supportive space for you to figure things out and wrestle. And sometimes you do have to be the coach for your partner. That just is part of partnering.
Yeah.
When it's merited. But to be expressive, or not expressive, but to open up in your power and in your fullness lets me know that I'm also allowed to be human next to you.
Yeah.
It creates its own type of safety when you're willing to do that, because now I do know that you're strong enough for me to trust full me with you.
Yeah. Yes. I'm so happy you brought that up. It really is that way. I know. I get so many.
We're both just like working off each other. Go, go, go.
So good. So good. Truly, because here, how do I say this in the right way? If a man is dismissive to his own emotions, and we're witnessing that over and over again, right? There's a part of, I'll just say me, there's a part of me, if I'm witnessing that over and over again, yeah, that is going to judge myself when I have big emotions. And I'm going to wonder, if he's not showing me his emotions, how is he going to hold me in mine? How is he going to respond when I am going through a thing and I need to cry it out, or I'm confused or whatever? Like, if there's no opening up emotionally on his part and vulnerability on his part, how will he hold my vulnerability? And that's not to say that he has to go first in this area all the time, but it does make me feel safer to open emotionally to him and to open my heart to him when he goes there too.
Yeah. Such a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just think there's something that is so necessary for the relationship to deepen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like digging a well and not having any kind of like support beams that are holding the space open.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can only go so deep before it's going to start to collapse on the top. Men, I hope they understand that metaphor. But we want to actually like create some supportive structures on the outside. And that's what it is allowing me to trust more of myself, because you're opening up that way for me. You're just like creating some like, hey, this is still safe domain. And therefore I get to open up even more and trust that you can handle it, because you have shown me that you can handle it for yourself.
Yeah. I had a therapist in college who said to me, vulnerability breeds vulnerability. And I thought that was a really great way to say, like, hey, when you go first and open up about things, you create space for someone else to open up about things and connect more,
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah. And that kind of piggybacks into our next thing around holding space and emotional intelligence is you can really win with us big when you ask us questions about how we're feeling. So it
Mm.
kind of goes around to empathetic listening. How are you feeling about that? Tell me more about that. How is it sitting with you now? You know, all of those really invite us to get even more introspective. And I think the feminine loves to be taken even deeper than she can go sometimes on her own. So if she has a partner who's asking her questions that take her deeper into her emotions and in her heart than she goes on her own, those are going to be big points and big connection that breeds so much intimacy.
That gives me chills. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Mm. I have nothing to add to that. That was like some summation. There you go.
And there it is. Yeah.
That was
Asking us questions
perfect.
about how we feel.
Yeah.
Courtney had a really great add on around healthy anticipation of needs. Tell us why that's so attractive and impressive.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about like codependency and
Mhm.
recovering from that to become the empowered feminine energy piece
Mhm.
of things requires a lot of empowered masculine. But when you're actually working with partnering with someone, you do start to learn their needs. So it's like the more mature version of expecting that people are going to need something, where, you know, kind of the wounded way might be anticipating, and this is something that I've been guilty of as well, as anticipating how they're going to respond to something or what they might be emotionally needing or kind of taking care of. But to healthily anticipate needs sounds like this happened the other day with my boyfriend of, well, I mean, I know that you really like, you know, X, Y, and Z. So I went ahead and picked this up. Or no, we can't do it that night because you're going to be tired after such and such. You're always tired after that. Like, let's not plan something extra that day. You know, so it's like little ways of taking care of me that aren't necessarily that have been asked for in the past, but just remembering them is the kindness. It's again kind of like seeing the boundary and honoring it. It's really about kind of learning my rhythm and learning my preferences and learning my um, energy cycle. You know, when I'm going to have the energy, when I'm always tired. He knows when I'm sleepy because my eyes close slowly or they don't open as wide, like
Yeah.
little things like that that are kind of nuanced. But he has learned, oh, let's not plan something extra. You're clearly sleepy right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm fine. You know, I'm trying to push myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. You have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's great because it's also seeing you. You know, we say this all the
Mm-hmm.
time. The three needs of the feminine are to be seen, to be heard, and to feel safe. So when
Mm-hmm.
he's anticipating her needs and seeing how she looks when she's kind of sleepy in a certain way, or you know, when she can't handle anymore for that day because she'll be tired by that time, like that's really seeing Courtney
Mm-hmm.
and her needs and what matters to her. Yeah, it's like, yes, you care about me. You're noticing details. I notice that as well. That means a lot to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. And it just feels so supportive, right? Like you open up space to relax more in their presence because you know they've got your back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like not having to change for them
Mm-hmm.
is a good indicator of that. Like how much do I need to change of my natural ebb and flow
Mm-hmm.
to keep you happy? And how much are you willing to just see, hey, this is never going to be something that changes and let's honor it. Like let's build it into the plan or build a plan around it.
Mm-hmm.
Helps me feel really safe and seen.
Mm. I love this so much. I could go on and on
Mm-hmm.
about being seen. Like that's been particularly important for me as I was dating because my work in the world is so unique and I do have so many different facets, coaching, you know, women in business, working with spirit, psychic mediumship development, orgasmic manifestation, pleasure, feminine masculine energy, all these things. Like I'm not a unopinionated, boring person, right? There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And when the person that I am seeing honors those parts and is interested in all those parts and celebrates them, I feel so safe and so seen and so turned on.
Yeah.
Which just could be little things. Like I was telling Court before we started recording, what did he say to me this afternoon? He's like, my friend recommended this series, and it's a lot about women rising in power and feminism. Do you want to watch it together? And he said this because he knows women's empowerment is hugely important to me. I love seeing like center female roles killing it. We need more of that in the media. So he suggested it, and that was his. For me, it felt like, oh my gosh, you see me, you appreciate me, you see my values, and I love this about you. Thank you. I love you so much. Yes, let's watch it. So little things like that, that really see her for her essence, and her bigness and her fullness. When you celebrate all those things, those details about her, those unique things about her, her opinions, her passions, it gives her safety and lets her exhale, and it lets her be even more full, more and more and more of who she is, more self-expressed. That's really all women. A lot of women can carry a core need of being too much. I'm too much. I take up too much space. I'm too needy. No one's going to appreciate all the parts of me. When you start appreciating all the parts of her, you will get the best version out of that woman. Yeah. Corny's mic dropping me.
Yes. Yes. Well, I love that you said that, because it is so inviting. Like if you want more of the feminine, most women have,
More.
they have this like reservoir, this dam just like built up that you have your, finger in. And as soon as you are like, hey, let's go, like floodgates, here we go.
Yeah.
So if you are hanging out and wanting more, then prepare yourself, brother, because we've got it. We just needed the permission to bring it fully online. And that's what you're providing to us by saying, hey, I'm into this part of you. I like it. I'm attracted to it. I see it. What else you got? Then we're going to be like, nervous. Well, what about this too? And this.
Can we try this?
And this and this and this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we did a whole episode on ways that men can help women open.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one. Yeah, this is really it. This is like you seeing her, appreciating these parts of her, especially the parts that she feels like are too much. And I'm sure she'll reveal them in little ways, like maybe like self-deprecating comments. Hopefully not. You know what I mean?
But that's a good way to look for them. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, totally. I used to be like, oh, I'm just so woo-woo if you're into that sort of thing. Right. Which is kind of like a self-deprecating way to also own who I am.
Yeah.
But you could pick up on it in other little ways and celebrate those things. And when her heart opens, her body opens, her spirit opens, her mind opens, her availability to commitment and deeper intimacy opens, you are going to get the honey of that woman. Yeah.
Dang. So good.
Yeah, so good.
I love it. And just like looking back through what we have covered, because we covered a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah, I see one we haven't covered.
Ooh, take it.
Respecting and honoring her cycle. We did a whole episode on basically how to win when your woman is on her period and how to deepen intimacy and support her. And this is like for me, huge bonus points. If I'm on my cycle and my partner learns what I need and can help provide that to me. And we give you the whole cheat sheet formula in that episode. So
that was a good episode.
Yeah, there's no gatekeeping here. Like it's all spilled in that episode. That's a big win because you're seeing me as a woman and what I need, which is different than your needs. There's a space where you end and I begin, and you're honoring that. And I love that.
So good. And kind of going back to that, anticipating the needs. Like this is something that happens on a regular basis in regular intervals, predictably. And so to learn, exactly what you're saying, like to even be curious, that's a really like amazing one, to step into the vulnerability of being curious about what that experience is like so that you can provide for those needs. And vice versa. I think women can be curious about what men's experience is like in other areas that are different than maybe what her normal day-to-day routine is, but specifically with honoring your cycle. can't believe I missed that one. But yeah, go back and listen to that episode, guys. That's a juicy one in and of itself.
It's so good. So good. And I know we've touched on this also a little bit already, but validating her emotions. I just feel like I want to make that its own bullet point. Validating her emotions, which is, I hear you. I understand why you would feel that way, right? Not, I know we mentioned this already, but not fixing, not problem solving, not overriding it. So many women just want to be heard. I want to know that you hear how I feel, that you hear my opinion, that my emotions are valid. You know, and an even better effort than just saying your emotions are valid would be like, I hear that you're feeling really upset and confused. You're feeling really vulnerable and exposed, whatever it is. Like, read into how she's feeling and actually verbalize those words, because that's going to create a lot more intimacy too.
Yeah. And it is going to allow her to trust you more with those. Such a good point. This was good stuff. Is there anything else that you want to add? I feel pretty clean about it.
I feel like these are some of the most impressive qualities that can emerge when you're getting to know someone. Yeah.
Definite green flags to keep stepping into. And men, this is not an exhaustive list that you have to be, knocking every one of these out of the park, as is all of our shows. They're just for your awareness and for your opportunity to keep stretching yourself in capacity to keep stepping into these things and keep providing these things, because they don't go unnoticed, is what I would hope that you hear. These little ways that you do show up are definitely noticed, and they're very impactful. They provide a lot of safety and security for us that we often don't express in return. So take it from us that these are things that we are highly attracted to and very impressed by when you're able to provide these for us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you said that. And the work of women, part of it is getting better at receiving, appreciating, and praising these things when they come out, no matter how small. In that moment where the person I'm seeing was like, hey, do you want to watch this movie on feminism, blah, blah, blah? I was like, oh my gosh, I love you for saying that. Thank you. I feel so seen right now. And kind of said it in a joking way, but let him know, like, you're being received, right? I am totally impressed by what you just said. So the work of women is to really receive these things, verbalize them, let them know, because, and I think, Courtney, you would probably agree, you also bring a different side out of men when you're so focused on what they're doing right and appreciating them. This is when he's an EM, right? We're not testing if he's EM or wounded and manipulative and blah, blah. No, this is an EM man. You're going to get the best out of him when you're appreciating him and praising him and seeing him for all these amazing things too. You'll bring more of it out. You'll get the best out of him.
I love that.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I just thought, like, allow yourself to be impressed.
Yeah.
And when I think about like an impression, even just like clay, like it has to be malleable and soft enough to receive an impression. And that requires a woman to soften herself actively. And this is the work, ladies, that you get to do, is to actively soften yourself into be receiving of an impression. So it's not something you can fake. He's going to know that. But for you to allow yourself to be impressed, even as a verb, by him is gold. I mean, from what I've understood from men, that is everything to them.
Yeah, to be received, right? That's the gift back. All these things that they do is you revealing your heart and showing them your happiness, your appreciation, your gratitude, your squeals, your claps, your grins, all these things. Did we record and post an episode on receiving? I don't think we did. I think we need to.
I think it's in the works.
Yeah, we'll do that to support women in this too, because I know that's been a personal journey for me. Learning how to reveal my happy was like, and how to actually let men win. Yeah. Yeah. And I think men listening, if you have things that impress you about women, write them into the show. Just shoot us a DM. You shoot me a DM on Instagram at Building Bree, BRI, or you can send Courtney a message. The best way to get you is email.
I'm on Instagram too, Courtney
Instagram?
underscore Shand. Mm-hmm.
Courtney_Shand. So send us a DM and tell us you listened to the episode and here are the things that impress us about empowered feminine women. And I'm down to do an episode on sharing with women things that EMs love about
Oh, I
EFs.
would love that.
Yeah.
Man, please do. That would make me so happy to do that episode. I mean, obviously we can come up with it on our own, but we love your input on this.
Totally.
Mm.
Yeah. If you love this show, please wait. Actually, before I go into that, we have been getting feedback from
Oh,
people listening to the show. We should have started with this. When I tell you how happy it makes me to hear that you guys are listening and that you love the show, I squealed the other day when Courtney sent me a message that someone was. Do you want to tell this what you heard for feedback? Someone listening two
oh,
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone shared that they were on their second round of going through all of the episodes because they were just consuming it voraciously. And that, oh my gosh, like tears welled up. My whole body was just like shaking. It was just happy dance all over. Oh, my heart lit up because it really is so fun for us and just such purpose work for us that we do just out of service and overflow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much fun when you send us your feedback, your questions, you tell us you're loving the show. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you for all of that. You can DM us personally. If you ever want to DM us personally, we're down. We want to
Oh
hear
yeah.
it. And your questions, men and women. We get a lot of women asking questions, but men, feel free to drop your questions into us too. If you'd want our hearts and our eyes and our minds on something coming up for you, we are down to answer your questions as well.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
would be so fun.
It would be so fun. So if you love the show, which we're hearing that you do, please share it with a friend that you want to win with men or women and that you think would benefit from this. That helps us more than you know, your word of mouth. So thank you to those of you who are sharing it. We appreciate you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Courtney, the people love you. They want more from you. Where can they work with you?
Thank you. Everything that I have is on my website. That's always kind of my hub, Courtney Shand, SCHAND.com. I am hanging out more on the Instagram than I had been before. So Courtney underscore Shand, and then Facebook, just Courtney Shand. I use my private page a lot and try to put content out more consistently there. But I love working with men and I love working with women in different phases of the dating process, early in dating to help recognize what empowered energy looks and feels like, and also to maintain that feeling in yourself so that you can be seen by these empowered partners and also feel the most powerful and secure within yourself. That is profound. I use a generational trauma model to kind of heal and clean that up so that you can maintain your own personal integrity in dating and attract a really healthy partnership for yourself. So that is my area of expertise. And I love, love, love helping men and women step more into their power and into their truth and find each other.
And
So
you're brilliant at it.
thank
So
you.
good.
Thank you. Likewise. Where can they find you? What do you have going on to offer?
What can I
Our
have going on?
listeners?
Yes, I hang out a lot on Instagram at Building Bri, BRI, on stories all the time. All of my program offerings I put on there. I also have a website that is like Courtney, my hub at buildingbri.com. So you can check that out. And I have another podcast that I do solo called Manifestation Queen Radio for my women listening who want to scale in business and healthy partnership. What do I have going on? I have a 3-day masterclass on healthy love that is completely free. I think it's March 8, 9, 10. It'll be 3 days long. And then at the end of it, we're opening the doors to one of my favorite programs, Inside Out, which is the art and science of healthy relationships and magnetizing the divine masculine. So if you're wanting to come into a more immersive container around healthy relationships, this is the place to go. We'll talk about your relationship with yourself, your relationship with men, with a partner, and then the universe. You can call in all your desires. It is so much fun. I'll put the notes, put it in the show notes for you if anyone wants that link. That's what I've got going on. And you guys, thank you for listening. We love you so much. And we will see you next week.